Hey, welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Kemler, and my next guest is an acclaimed actor from films like Place Beyond the Pines, Kill Your Darlings, A Cure for Wellness, and now you can see Dane DeHaan in the new Amazon series 000, where he plays the heir to a shipping company heavily involved in the global drug trade. Very excited to talk to you again, Dane DeHaan. Hey, Dane, what's up, man?
Hey, thanks
How
for
are
having
ya?
me. I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you.
You too.
All right, great.
Yeah.
000. Your character in this is the sort of like unwilling, unwanting heir to a company that he. I mean, maybe he wants to. I don't think.
I would make a correction to that
Sure.
in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So he has this disease, Huntington's disease, which is a genetic degenerative disease, and his mother died from that disease. And so because of that, his father, who's played by Gabriel Byrne in the series, really like kind of keeps him away from the family business. And I think that Chris, my character, has a desire to be a part of it, a big desire to, but he's almost kept like a little fragile bird in a cage because they know what will eventually happen to him because they've seen it all happen before with the mother.
Do you think because he knows there's a nihilistic side of him as well, where he wants to be a part of this, he wants to commit himself, but it's kind of hard to commit yourself to anything when you know what the end game is for yourself?
Well, I think he's like accepted his fate as like the kid that's always kept in the house, you know, and I think he's not going to fight against his father, but I think he does deeply want to be involved. And that's what ends up happening is he becomes involved in the way he wants to and more, you know.
And more. How much has any of it aired yet? Excuse me, because
Yeah, it's all out. You
it's
can
all
get
out,
all
so
of
we
it
can
now.
talk about the whole thing.
I don't know how that works, but
How
maybe.
spoilers work? I don't know. I feel like if it's all dropped, it's all fair game.
Okay, yeah, it came out last Friday.
Last Friday,
on
because
Amazon
we had
Prime.
Andrea here a few weeks ago to talk, and it hadn't come out yet. But in regards to how he gets involved, it's one of those horrible situations where it's because he's been in the dark for so long, he's taken advantage of, people don't respect him, and he is sort of left trying to make up all of that game while at the same time not able to really do the job at hand, right?
Yeah, totally. And you know, stuff gets crazy. I think as much as it's a look at maybe like the worldwide scheme of international cocaine trafficking, I think the series is just as much about everything that could possibly go wrong in trying to get like $60 million worth of cocaine from one place to the other. And my character, Chris, is very much thrown into the middle of that. You know, it takes us around the world. It gets really crazy. And it is a lot of his decisions, I think, are informed by the fact that he does have this disease. He knows his time on Earth is limited, but he loves his family. His family has a legacy to uphold. So, like, he's willing to put family before himself.
Well, even his choice to get involved with a group of Senegalese gang lords or drug lords, right, in order to help move the cocaine, is like a poor choice and also representative in some ways of like how he views the world and how he looks at things.
I think so. Yeah, I think like he really has nothing to lose
Exactly.
personally, but his family has a lot to lose. So he's willing to do whatever it takes to get this stuff from one place to the next.
And it takes Andrew to be like, just because you have nothing to lose doesn't mean that they're going to help us in the way that we need help.
Yeah, we definitely have conflicting opinions on the best way to help. But I'm more in the thick of it, and she's just like, you know, giving her opinions. And, you know, when you're in the middle of a huge, giant situation and there's terrible things happening, you go to extreme circumstances to try to solve the issue.
Yeah. But he's always going to be taken advantage of, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not as experienced as he would like to.
He's like the guy in college who decides to sell pot for a week or so, and then very quickly he goes to someone's room to collect money, and the person's like, "No, I'm not paying you," and he's like, "Well, I got nothing."
Yeah.
No one's
But
scared
then
of
he's
him.
like, but then maybe he like gets in a fight with the guy.
He gets his ass
and then
kicked.
gets his ass kicked. Yeah, that is kind of it.
Still doesn't get the money.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
And then is like, okay, I'm not just selling the pot anymore. I'm
Yeah,
done. I'm done with this. What was it like working with Andrea?
Yeah, she's great. You know, she's an incredibly talented actress. She always shows up to set like completely ready to go, and she's like there for you, talks to you, listens to you. You know, and that's all you can ask for in an acting partner is someone that's like really there for you. you know, and really listening to you when you're talking to them. And I think that the relationship is so well written into the scripts already, and then to show up and be able to trust in her and know that she'll come fully prepared and ready to go, like that's a dream come true.
When you say listen to you, do you mean in the scene while you're performing, or outside of the scene when you're talking about what the scene could be and how you're thinking of playing it?
I mean, like in the scene when you're performing. You know, I think so much of how I look at acting is like trying to affect the other person, and that can really only happen if your acting partner is open and vulnerable and truly listening to you.
Have you ever had the opposite?
Sure.
What is that? I mean, I don't want. Anytime I ask that, I immediately sense the person is like, I'm not going to tell you, and I don't want that. I'm just curious how you handle that, how you get through a situation like that.
Well, you just keep on. I think it changes. I mean, like, so within an acting scene, it's like say we're in a scene. There's something that I want from you. So with all the words that are given to me in the script, I'm trying to get something from you specific. And as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you and I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to, let's just take this circumstance. I'm trying to like convey to you how to do an acting scene. And the more that you're nodding and the more that you're like, yeah, sure, yeah, I feel like I'm getting through to you. So instead of having to like continue to explain it and get more and more enthusiastic about it or more and more emphatic, I feel like you're getting it and I can ease off. But if you have an acting partner that maybe you feel like you're not getting through to, I think it can change the way a scene is done because you're trying so hard to get that from them. Does that make sense?
Right, but that can also affect the scene in a good way too, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So you may
If it's supposed to be like that.
Right, your acting partner may actually be trying to trick you into getting something out of you, but
yeah, right.
Is that a good thing for an actor to do? That seems like a director should make that call.
Well, I think it's important for an actor to understand what they're doing within the context of a scene, like to the other people.
Right.
So if within the scene the other person is like not supposed to be listening to you and you're not supposed to be getting through to them, then it's helpful if they're not listening and getting through to you. But if they're actually supposed to be there for you and listening to you, then that's what you want from them, you know?
Right. Rather than them on their phones or taking a call or checking email because they're not on camera with you.
I mean, I've never experienced that, but like, sure, yeah, that would be extreme.
You, is it fair to say that you started out doing theater, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair, yeah.
When's the last time you got the chance to do theater?
It's been a long time. It's been like 8 or 9 years.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, really bad.
Are you thinking about, I mean, obviously no one is thinking about doing theater in this particular moment.
Sure.
Are you thinking about doing theater in the upcoming months or years?
I would really love to. It needs to be the right thing. You know, I think that's the problem. I feel like I've been trying to get back into the theater for maybe like 2 years now, but I'm also because I remember the last time we were here, we talked about theater, and I did this play called The Aliens.
Yeah.
And it was
Ed
like
Chernus here last week.
Oh wow!
I talked about The
I
Aliens
love
with him a little
Chernus
bit.
so much.
I had no idea that the songs in The Aliens were actually like his songs that he wrote in college.
Yeah, he did. Isn't that cool?
That's wild.
That was such a special experience, and I feel like now I'm so careful about what I would go back to because I would want to at least have a chance for it to be as special as that experience was.
How would you, I mean, it's impossible to even know that you would be choosing something that would usher like a new voice into the
Of
theater,
course.
like an earth-shattering voice
Yeah.
into the theater.
Right, but you know when you read something, how it feels when you read it, you know, and your personal connection to it. I remember reading The Aliens for the first time and just knowing that, at least for me, this was like an incredibly special play, you know?
Can I ask because what I love about Annie Baker specifically, and like great artists, is that someone could read it like you, or I could read it and be like, this isn't special and beautiful and there's nothing else like this. And somebody else could read it and say, I don't get it. This is kind of boring. And
Yeah.
that's what's wonderful about Annie Baker.
Yeah, for sure.
But what was it about when you read The Aliens that made you leap up and sort of understand it?
Well, I think she captured a modern voice in the way I'd never seen in the theater. She puts ums and likes and pauses in there, and it goes back to understanding where the character is coming from and what the character's doing. You know, I think you can be doing so much on such a deep level and say almost nothing. And she understands that, and she understands behavior and simplicity of language in a way that, at least at the time, was revolutionary, in the theater. So you have these characters that are scared to talk. They're like men that have all these feelings but don't know how to share them. And so within the language, it's the struggle of them trying to say how they really feel, but knowing that they're incapable of doing that. And so having fairly profound, meaningful conversations with mostly saying stuff like, I don't know.
I feel like with her, and maybe we even had this conversation last time a little bit, and with really great writers, it's deceptively simple, or like there's something about, she uses ums and ahs that you could imagine someone being like, oh, I could do that, I can use ums and ahs. But when you actually read Annie Baker or see it live, it's like they are so intrinsically planted into the script, and the rhythms are so specific, and they mean so much more than just ums and ahs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then also the stories themselves, it's distilled. The characters are distilled, the scenes are distilled, everything makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it is, like you said, it's an amazing experience being in the theater during one of those plays, because there's also like usually, you're like 75-year-old theater subscriber in front of you looking around like what is going on? Like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And that's like a part of the experience too. I remember during the Flick, you read about like people sending letters to Playwrights Horizons and people leaving during the show. And, it's like, it's a testament that like great art is polarizing.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. So going into theater now, are you looking for a voice like that, or would you sort of do a revival of something?
Sure. I mean, a voice like that would be amazing, but maybe it only comes along once in a lifetime. But sure, if there's like a great classic play that I've always wanted to do, a role I've always wanted to do with an awesome cast, an awesome director, and
is there a great classic play or role that you've always wanted to do?
I mean, sure,
Sure.
like the ones everyone wants to
Yeah,
do.
of course.
Like Hamlet would be cool, and
Yeah.
I mean, I always wanted to play like Treplev, like the seagull. I mean, I guess maybe I could still do that, but I'm kind of aging out of it, I feel. So, I mean, there's so many great old plays, but again, it would have to do with like the circumstances around it and feeling like we had a chance of making it special. Not just doing the play because, I can do this play, but like, is this going to be one of those, does this have a chance of being one of those productions that like is truly special?
Right, the director has a vision for it that is different, or that does something that's going to, and there's also going to be enough buzz around it that people are going to care to make it special as well.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the crazy things about theater and with movies and television shows is that you could make something special, but if the response doesn't elevate it, like, is it still special?
Yeah, especially in today's environment. I think like with all these streaming shows, there's so many of them that they really do in a big way rely on word of mouth. Not all of them have like giant marketing campaigns, like even though these companies pour a lot of money into them to make them something special, because there are so many of them, they wait and see if people are watching them and are talking about them. And that's how a lot of them become really like the ones that you want to watch, is being at lunch. I mean, like, have you seen whatever, Fleabag? Have you seen 000? It's so amazing. You have to check it out. And that's how people know about it, to check it out. It really is.
I like that. I like the idea that that's your pitch when you go on a press tour for 000. You just sit down and go, have you seen my show? It's amazing. You gotta watch it.
Well, that's what I want other people to say, Yeah.
For the show, though, you guys went to Senegal, Morocco, New Orleans. Where else?
Italy, Mexico.
Italy, Mexico.
Yeah.
Did you go, and you went to all of those locations?
Except for Italy, yeah.
That's wild. Well, like, when they pitched you the show, did they tell you that? And when you were like, I'm in.
That's the shortened version. Yeah. I knew all the places we were going, for sure. I knew that I would start in New Orleans, Mexico, then go to Mexico, then go to Morocco, and then go to Senegal.
You also have a family these days as well. Was there any hesitation or trepidation or worry about that?
It was almost, one of the advantages of it. I had never done a limited series. This is my first limited series. And there were all these locations over this 9-month period. But the story, it really is a truly international thing, and there's an international cast. So there's all these locations. There's also 3 main storylines. There's like the American storyline, the Mexican cartel storyline, and the Italian mafia storyline. So although it seems like I would be away from my family forever, really traveling around for 9 months, I would be at one location for 3 weeks. Then I would go home for 3 or 4 weeks while they either shot with other actors or they went to another location and set up. So it was kind of a great way to have a job that I believed in for 9 months and still be able to balance work and family, because I was never gone for that long before I got to go home and have a chunk of time at home.
Is that something that obviously has become increasingly important to you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what the film that you did with Luc Besson, I mean, that was probably a shoot that took you away for a really long time, right?
That was 6 months in Paris, yeah. So I didn't have kids at the time.
Yeah.
If that happened now, I mean, Paris is more manageable than obviously like the Sahara Desert, So I feel like I could go to Paris and bring my family, and we could live there for 6 months.
Or even Cure for Wellness. You guys shot that. Did you guys shoot that in?
That would have been a really tricky one, yeah.
Where was that?
That was all around Germany.
That's
a
what I
lot
thought.
in Berlin.
I remember
but
when you were
a
here for
lot
that.
in like Eastern Berlin, and a lot of Eastern Germany, and like a lot of locations all around Germany. So that one would have been tricky to do. I probably would have been away a lot longer,
I rewatched that movie recently.
Oh yeah.
One of the most impeccably art directed, beautifully made films I
Yeah.
think in years. I mean,
Yeah.
every shot, every piece of design is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we had Boyan Bazelli was our DP. He's really awesome, kind of like a crazy genius. And Gore Verbinski is just such a like careful visual storyteller. I learned so much from him on that experience, just about like making a movie and from a true, like really from a visual perspective and from the perspective of a director. It was about, for my experience, that movie was more about understanding how to bring his vision to life, because he had such a specific visual vision than like,
Rather than thinking about it
on
in
like something
terms
like
of-
000, where he's showing up every day being like, how do we make this more real? How can we do this? And how can we do that?
Right.
On that, it was like his vision is so clear. He has these like immaculately planned out storyboards. You almost like some shots, you're doing the whole scene, but he only needs it for like this part of the scene, because it's so planned out visually in his head. It's pretty incredible.
But he still lets you do the whole scene and gives you the chance as an actor to like play it out for them.
He'll let you like, yeah, I mean, like, if he only wants this one moment, but for me as an actor, I need to go back a page to
Right.
get there, he'll certainly allow that, because he wants the performance to be there also. But it is less of a like, it's less of a like exploration in like language and situation as it is like a practice of keeping a repetitive moment fresh for an entire day.
Right. One of the things that I loved about rewatching that movie was just the sense of an original studio movie that threw money at an original idea.
Yeah.
It's like, cynical as that sounds, you just like don't see that
Yeah.
really at
Yeah.
all anymore. Like
Totally.
a horror movie that has the budget to do the things that he did in that film
I know.
is incredible.
It was cool, man. Like they definitely, they embraced the weird. I think
it's
that
a crazy weird movie.
it's a crazy weird movie.
Especially the last act.
Yeah, it gets really weird, and like you said, like the studio really did get behind it, and they gave him the money to do it, and that was exciting. And you don't see that a lot anymore, which is, kind of a shame.
Was that hard for you as an actor when you first showed up to that set and you realized how meticulously designed it was and how you were going to have to craft a performance? I mean, at that point, it feels like you're actually leaning on craft heavily at that point.
Yeah,
not
totally.
the idea of like, oh, I can figure out the scene and we can explore, like you said.
Yeah. Well, it's always interesting to get to know a director and to understand how they work. I think one of the things that I love about this job is all the amazing different directors I've worked with, and like I've come to really love being directed, and to like I think it's imperative for the success of anything you're doing for an actor to really like fall in love with working with their director, you know, and to understand how they work and to be malleable enough to fall into that scenario, because you're never going to show up to a place and always have the same kind of director, you know? And if you always show up and you're the same kind of actor, inevitably sometimes you're going to clash with the director. But I think as an actor, if I can keep myself malleable to the situation, then it becomes really fun if you're working with the director you trust, which is so important, to just kind of fall under their spell for the shoot and trust in them.
Well, like Derek Cianfrance is a completely different kind of director.
Couldn't be more different.
Yeah, at that point you're playing, you're evolving, you're exploring the scene
Yeah.
a lot of the way through it, right?
All the way through. You'll take a page, 5 pages of dialogue, and turn it into a page of silence, you know? It's all about the exploration. For him, it's all about the exploration of the moment, almost as it pertains to the reality of the situation on that day. You know, sometimes you get a feeling, oh, if we were shooting this a week from now and we were all in a different kind of mood, maybe it would turn into a completely different kind of scene.
Oh wow.
You know, because it has to do with how it transpires in the story, but it also has to do with how you can make it come to life on that day. You know, and you're right, Gore couldn't be more different. Gore's like, I've been writing and envisioning this for 3 years. I know how I want it to work, and the shots are complicated. Like, I need you to hit this mark so that, like, when you're here, you look like you're, like, inside a glass of water. And then, you know, it's like, it's visual storytelling in a different way.
I have a question from Twitter. It was, you were great in Metallica Through the Never. How was that experience different from other film projects? If you had the choice, what other band would you do that type of movie for?
Okay. Yeah, that was a crazy experience. We shot it overnight for 2 weeks in Vancouver. It was like, I basically got to hang out with Metallica for 2 weeks while we made this crazy movie. That movie's a real, like, acid trip of, like, my part in it is just crazy. You know, they rented out, like, this giant stadium where I think the stage they had was the second biggest stage ever. They were like touring around with like 40 big rig trucks or something, and they did like 3 concerts live, and then they had like 3 concerts where they would like stop and redo moments, and that was just an experience, like a wild experience that I never would have imagined having. What other band would I want to make a movie with? I don't know. I don't really think of. It's not really. I'm thankful I got to do a concert movie, because I feel like that's something that a lot of actors get to do. But I don't know that I'm like looking to do another concert movie.
You don't listen to music and go, that band.
No,
I want to make a movie.
I want to make
them.
a movie with them. I don't think so.
You did an Imagine Dragons video as well, right?
Yeah, I did do an Imagine Dragons music video.
How did that happen?
They just kind of asked me to do it. It's you know, one of those, both of those things happened at a time where I was kind of like home and didn't have a lot going on, and then it was like, this band wants you to work with them, and it just sounded like, cool, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not something I seek out, but
you don't want to be the concert video actor.
no, not really.
In an Aerosmith concert video, and then in some other band and another band. That's all you do.
I'm the concert movie guy.
Dan, I love 000, and it's another great performance from you.
Thanks
so much for being here and
Thanks for
talking
having
about
me.
it. It's on Amazon right now.
Yeah,
right?
Amazon Prime now. Yeah,
Amazon Prime now.
right now.
Right now.
I mean, it's called Amazon Prime, and you can watch it right now.
It's not called Amazon Prime right now.
I don't think so, unless they just rebranded.
Dan,
And it's a great time to stay home and watch
That's true.
and stream television.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunate for the movies in the theaters, but very fortunate for the TV shows on streaming.
That's right.
Yeah, go binge 000. What are you doing right now? Don't
Yeah.
be in public. Don't
Yeah.
be out.
This interview's over. You can stop watching this, go to Amazon, and binge 000.
Don't leave your house.
Don't leave your house.
Yeah.
Don't go outside.
Nope.
Cook your own lunch.
Yep.
Wash your hands a lot.
Yeah.
And watch 000.
Done.